looked last week at a bunch of different power rankings. I looked at 9 different power rankings from all these different football writers and football sources post-draft, as everybody kind of looked at where they are. And they're not done necessarily, which we're going to talk about in a little bit this hour. Lots of Bears this hour. But what do you see? Do you see a 9-win team? You see a 10-win team? You see a playoff team? When you look at them as constructed with the holes they have filled at this point?
I think they've gotten a lot better. I do question the left tackle position. You were talking about Ozzie. Can he come in from right tackle and fill that? The other 4 are pretty darn good, right? I think Caleb's got to be really happy about that, but I still think you need to find somebody, and hopefully it's Braxton or it's Ozzie, that can play to Braxton's level that he's played in the past, because the other 4 guys are pretty darn good, and that'll raise the whole level of the other guys. But that's a question mark for me. I just – hopefully he can come in and kind of be like Braxton did his rookie year and figure it out and fill the position. And maybe it is Braxton as well, like I said, but I'm just not certain about that injury. But, I like all the picks. And then, going back through the draft, I understand what happened. I understand why they got the tight end and why they got the wide receiver. I went back and thought about Lovie Smith back in 2004. He's a defensive coach that came in, right? Highly regarded. Who were his first 2 picks that he got? What's the number 1 position he needed? A 3 technique. So he got Tommy Harris and Tank Johnson.
Back to back.
So to me, this was a Ben Johnson draft, right? He said, Ryan Poles, like, all right, what do you need to make your offense work? And he got what he needed with this tight end from Michigan. So I don't have a problem with it. The more I've watched this young man, he's impressive. He's a mismatch guy, and I think Ben Johnson now has a lot of tools to work with. And I think Caleb has got to like that. But most importantly, I think Caleb has to like what he has in front of him.
What a great connective point from Pat Mannelly that nobody has made in the week since. That Lovie got to do that, and now Ben got to do it.
So when you watch the tape of Colston Loveland, what do you see?
Just a mismatch. He's a tool, right? I think it's for Ben Johnson. He likes to make similar things look different, right? Whatever he talks about. Well, you can move him everywhere up and down or left and right on the line and make him run different routes, different formations. Just a big athlete, can play great in the red zone, stretch the field, contesting. I mean, he's got it all. I like it. The more I've watched him now, I just think he is a great fit for Coach Johnson and what he wants to do. We've seen what he wants to do in Detroit. It's worked very well, and I think he has now the tools to do it in Chicago.
Yeah, I was told that he can't run his offense without a tight end like Colston Loveland, which I didn't get before the draft, but it's part of like the learning and the contextualization, and you reach out and you hear stuff, and like, yeah, he needed that. And then touch more on Luther Burden, man, because that's an interesting thing now. I don't know how that guy's going to be used. Is he gonna get some carries?
Speaks. I got a question about that too, because you have so many targets out there. What are you going to do? I mean, the answer to that is you got to win. So nobody's going to complain. But to me, what I kind of saw and what I've heard is that each slip down the draft board, you've got to take them. You have them rated so high, and you just draft off your board and you get them. So, the more talent they get on that side is great. But I'm okay with it, just because if you win, all those receivers are going to be okay with it.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about targets and like who's going to have all the catches.
Right.
What he's worrying about is weapons that he can scare defenses with, and then do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. And he's a multi guy, right? You can play him everywhere. So he just has a lot of guys who can play everywhere. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, can play inside, outside, up there in Detroit. And I think this guy he's not Amon-Ra St. Brown, but similar skill set where you can play him everywhere. And that just gives Ben Johnson, a bigger play sheet. He can put more X's and O's up there and move guys around and try to confuse these defensive coordinators.
Bears Iron Man Patrick Mannelly joining us here on the Spiegel Holmes Show. I want to go back to Ozzie Trapillo for a second, and I want to check your BS detector on something. When Speegs and I did the digging on Trapillo, and we listened to the Bears talk about it and college coaches talk about, this guy apparently was playing left tackle and moved to right tackle because the left tackle that they have is left-handed, and so it was easier for him to make the transition. Does that pass your BS detector? And should we look at it as like, look at this guy, he's just a great teammate that did whatever was necessary, or did they find someone who was better at left tackle and move them there?
That's a good one, because you always hear line coaches and coordinators and coaches talk about they want the best 5 out there. Maybe that was the best way to get that player out there on the field at left tackle. I know it's difficult to go from left to right. I played left tackle in college, never played the right side of the line, so I never had to do it. But that's a good question of, of why they had to move him to right. We're going to find out, right? We have minicamp coming up this weekend, and then they'll put the pads on later on in August. But we'll find out. That's very interesting. And then the one I think about, though, that can move left and right is John Tate. I think we've had him on the show before talking about that move from right tackle to left tackle. He's a special player, first-round talent, obviously. So I don't know if everybody can do it. My fingers are crossed for him. I hope he can. But as far as the BS meter on that's a tough one because I just don't know.
Yeah, what Bill O'Brien said is that the guy they had could only play the left side. So Ozzie was willing to move there. And to Patrick's point, maybe that's conceivable. What's weird, though, is that Penei Sewell's a right tackle. I mean, that's one of the best in the NFL, and he stays on the right for Ben Johnson. So Darnell Wright might...
But they have Taylor Decker there, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So, I mean, I think if you had Penei Sewell and they had the Bears situation, I think you would take him and move right to the left tackle.
So
that guy can play anywhere.
So do you think? So do you think it would be wise for them to consider Darnell Wright at left tackle?
I do. I would give it a shot. I honestly would. I really would. I would just put him out there and to see what happens, even without pads on, just to see how he moves, how he sets. Is it natural? Like going back to John Tate when he went from right side to left side, I was like, wait, he's just natural. He can do it. We saw Darnell do it in Tennessee, and there's a reason why he played the right side in Tennessee. But I give him a shot. Give him a week there, right? To see if it works. If you can, oh shoot, I forgot the new line head coach name, but like
Dan
give him a
Rochard.
shot to see how he moves up. There we go. And have him just evaluate it, just see his movement and say, hey, maybe this is something that could happen. That's what I would do. I'd give him a chance, give him a few practices just to see how he looks.
I don't know if you've heard this, but I wanted to get your opinion on it, Patrick. Did you see
that the Pope is American?
And a Chicago.
Chicago, South Sider.
Yeah,
South Side, baby.
Cub fan, but South Sider.
And I imagine a Bears fan. Like,
probably.
That's kind of cool.
Dude,
yeah.
The Pope has probably cheered for Pope has cheered for a Pat Mannelly snap.
I hope so. A little Robbie Gold kick, yeah.
Yeah, why not? it works.
He also thinks they should move Zorich to linebacker, just though for the record.
I heard that one, yeah.
All of us do. I don't know if you heard this, but the Rams are holding mandatory minicamp in Maui.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
If it's a mandatory, you should do it for the voluntary one.
Well, here's the statement.
Right. Then you would get everybody there. Yeah. What is the statement? That's interesting.
Here's the statement. We are thrilled to return to Hawaii for the first time in the NFL bring minicamp to Maui. Los Angeles and Hawaii share a special relationship, and we are grateful for teaming up. Oh, I see what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna do charity work, and they're gonna work to help rebuild homes and out. Cool. Oh, that's fantastic. I love the Rams for this. So
that makes sense because that's an easier flight for him to get there, and you just make a long weekend. You do the charity work, and then it's also spreading. You don't need to spread it more to Hawaii, but that's just spreading football to other areas. I mean, that's a great thing, and for the charity reason, that's really, really good.
Yeah,
I know Kalooks.
Yes, Kalooks. Olin didn't know Kalooks, but that's all right. So yeah, man, this has been kind of a fun time that we're watching Ben Johnson develop his vision out and how he's going to do things. What are the things that you hope Caleb Williams is taking from the big picture of Ben Johnson being in control of this?
Just being in control, just listen to him, learn more football. You finally have a sound football mind. It's one of the tops in the NFL, if not the world, maybe in the last 10 years. So just sit there and listen and learn and take everything you can from him, and then learn how to take a snap under center and do the play action. That's the other thing. But to be able to work for a guy like that, I mean,
yeah, man, taking the snaps under center.
It's a blessing for him, and it's a blessing for players. I think it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, and they did. I don't even know if we've talked to you since they did all the free agent stuff and fortified the middle, dude. Finally, they dealt with center and guard with money. And now, and what that means is, Caleb, stand stronger in the pocket and do what you're told. Don't get happy feet. Isn't that the subtext of that?
I think that, and I think Dolman as well, is going to help free Caleb's mind. He's going to be able to make all the calls. We have a great one on the score here. He did that for all of our quarterbacks, made it so much easier for them with all the protection calls up front, and could even correct them if they wanted to, have a live discussion at the line of scrimmage. But I think that's going to make Caleb's second year that much easier because he's not going to – you want him to know everything, but now you have somebody you trust in front of you that's a veteran that's done it very well at a high level. that can help him as well.
You know, a lot of people in the Atlanta area. When you found out about Grady Jarrett becoming a Bear, what did people tell you?
All right. Well, I talked to their team doctor, so I do know somebody. He's one of my dear friends. He's one of the guys going to Highlands, North Carolina. He just said he raved about him, raved about his leadership, who he is in the locker room, how he's respected throughout the building. Like, even he's their cardiologist, so like he treats him well. Like, he's a leader. And I think what I like about Joe Thuney and Grady Jarrett getting there, they have captains. They have real leadership. I think this is going to change the entire locker room. I think all that 8 captains and pointing fingers and talking to all this stuff, that's over with. Now you have anybody that's even like TJ Edwards is going to look at Joe Thuney and Grady Jarrett and be like, all right, what are we doing? I think you have 2 leaders there that can really change this culture. And I think that was a brilliant part. Not only have they're good players, but they're changing that culture in that locker room.
I'd like to thank the Atlanta Falcons and potentially your guy, Phil Emery. Although I guess, was he gone? Well, no, Ryan Pace is there.
We can thank Ryan Pace.
We can thank Ryan Pace for paying Kirk Cousins to be a backup quarterback the way that they are, which makes Drew Dahlman and Grady Jarrett expendable from the forced expendability. So I want to thank Ryan Pace in absentia for that.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And Grady Jarrett was one that when you put on tape to watch, if the Bears were playing one of the Falcons' opponents, jumped out, loved it. Played with high energy. Like, he's a guy that would have fit in the Lovey system perfectly. Like, the 3 technique that's just penetrating nonstop to the ball. I really enjoyed watching him play. I know he's 32 years old, coming off an ACL injury, but I still think he has a couple years left. And he's a guy on, I call it a game plan guy. He's a guy you have to game plan against. And I think he's still got some of that in him. And I think the Bears got a good one with him.